Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session. I hope all of you are doing well. I'm sorry there's not enough electricity at my place. There's no electricity at my place. There's a storm going on. So I'm really sorry if the video is dark, but I hope all of you can hear and see me, right? So today, this is more of an AMA session wherein this is a precursor of our bootcamp that starts from tomorrow. So today I just wanted to come and have a quick discussion with you guys, take any questions that you might have before we begin, right? Rest assured, we will be starting the bootcamp from the very basics, and whatever we will be talking about, we will give enough context for the same. But I still wanted to see if you guys have any questions before we actually start, right? And I will also let you know what is it that we are going to be talking about in the bootcamp, right? So before I start taking up your questions, let me just quickly give you a brief of what all it is that basically the bootcamp is going to be about, and let me just set some context as to why we are having this bootcamp, right? So the thing is that right now in 2026, India is sitting on one of the biggest career opportunities for experienced professionals in a generation, right? And most people don't even have an idea about it. That is why we are having this bootcamp, right? And what I'm talking about is high value roles which are outside your day job. Independent director seats on listed boards, startup advisory positions, NGO board roles, and leadership in industry associations, right? So these compound, and the thing is that these compound once you advise, let's say, two startups and sit on an association panel, for instance, your odds of landing your first ID seat go way up, right? So we are not just going to be talking about ID positions, but also other ancillary things that you can do, which will be of very high value in and of themselves as well. And these things will also compound and will increase your chances of securing ID positions, right? And the thing is that the scale is huge. India has 7,500 plus listed companies as of today. And with large unlisted public companies, roughly 40 to 50,000 firms are legally required to appoint IDs. We will be talking about this through and through, how there are so many companies, listed and unlisted companies, who are mandatorily required. This is a legal mandate that they have to follow, that they have to appoint independent directors. That is something that we will be talking about. India basically saw more than 300 IPOs in 2025 alone, with 1,000 plus more expected in the coming 2 years. And all of these companies will need IDs. On top of that, a wave of IDs appointed in 2016 is now stepping down after 2 terms, and those seats must be filled as well, right? So that's basically what we are going to be talking about. The money is something which is absolutely real. I will show this to you tomorrow as well. But do you know that India's top IDs earn 3 to 6 crores a year? Seth, could you please shut your volume, because there's
Yeah, yeah,
noise. Okay, so the money, that is what we are talking about. India's top IDs, do you know they earn as much as 3 to 6 crores a year? Just which is something which is just they accumulate as through their sitting fee, right? For the meetings that they attend. Even at entry level, there are 4 to 5 SME boards which can add 20 plus lakhs annually to your income, right? And this is essentially part-time work. You don't have to be associated with these firms, these businesses full time. That is why we call it independent director. There is an independent element to it, right? And this isn't something which I'm just saying. There are actual people who have been able to do this, right? Let me give you some examples. Steve Pereira. He has 20 plus years of experience in hospitality. He's now on two boards, ZTech India, Z Qatar Shopping. Right. Then we have Sanjay Roy, who has 36 years of experience in Navy. Right. He had no corporate experience, no corporate background. He is now on the board of Sashi Rome, another company. Suman Chaudhary, who was an agricultural consultant, she's now an ID at Zepfresh, which again is an agricultural, fast delivery company, quick delivery company. Vivek Talmale, 30 years of experience in operations and basically consultancy in Nagpur, now on the board of Cashew Drive. And we have so many other examples. We have Dayatri, who had 36 years of experience in civil account service, and she was in Odisha. She secured her first seat at Odisha Power Transmission in February of 2026 itself. Right? We have Sunil Agarwal, who's 67 years of age. He is an ex-IRS commissioner, and he again is a has secured an ID position at this company called Mom's Belief. Okay, so there are so many different people who have been able to do it in very less time, right? In fact, as less as 6 months. So I will be giving you a lot of such examples. I will be setting a lot of context in the coming 3 days, right? But let's also look at, before I start taking up your questions, let me just quickly tell you what it is that we are going to be talking about across these 3 days, right? So on day one, which is tomorrow, from 6 to 9 p.m., we will be talking about the opportunity itself. What is the eligibility criteria? What are the earnings, right? What are the risks, if any, with respect to securing ID positions being an ID, how the IIC exam really works, how easy or how difficult it is to crack the exam, and how appointments actually really happen, right? On day two, we will be talking about advanced strategies such as the 6 month roadmap that a lot of people have followed, and they have been able to secure ID positions through this 6 months roadmap. I hope all of you are excited to know about this. Building a personal brand is something that we will be talking about, delivering a TEDx talk, landing startup advisory roles, introducing SMEs to merchant bankers. I will also set context as to why this is important, and then I will tell you how you can do this, right? Then on the third and final day, we will be talking about the boardroom itself. How can you network with CFOs and company secretaries? How will you present yourself in a boardroom? How to really prepare yourself for boardroom meetings, right? Spotting IPO worthy companies in your own network. How can you network with people, with companies who might need an ID and who might actually end up appointing you as an ID, right? How to really strategically reach out to them, connect with them. All of that is something that we will be talking about through and through, right? The thing is that whether you're 35 or 65, or whether you're working or you're retired, you're CA, engineer, teacher, veteran, or social sector professional, there's a path here for you. I will, again, we will be talking about this in much greater detail tomorrow. But the thing is that whatever particular stream you belong to, whatever your specific background is, your niche is, your specialization is, remember that there are businesses out there who are looking for expertise which you possess, right? And which you can provide these companies with by becoming an independent director, right? And that is something that again is possible. We have numerous examples of people who have been able to leverage their specific niche. Like I just gave the example of this particular student, Suman Chaudhary, who had a very specific niche. She was an agriculture consultant, and then she ended up being securing an ID position at a company which could use her specific expertise, right? So don't think for even a minute that whatever niche, whatever experience, whatever background you have cannot be utilized as an independent director. That would be a wrong assumption, and we will be talking about this through and through in the coming 3 days as well, right? So that's that. Now let me take some of your questions before we proceed forward. Let's take some questions. Okay, so Nand Kumar, you're asking why sit in the dark. I'm sorry, there's no electricity at my place. That's why I'm sitting in the dark. There's a storm outside. That's why, right? Okay, so can I receive the amount in? I don't understand what you're asking. Namsud, company name, amount in my son's company name. Could you maybe rephrase what you're saying? After bootcamp, are you charging fee? Don't worry. Okay, so again, Namsud, everything will be explained to you in the bootcamp. This bootcamp what you have to remember for now is this boot camp is free of cost. Okay, you don't have to pay any money to be attending the boot camp, right? So that's that. After that, further details, whatever it is, please come attend the boot camp, and we'll take it ahead from there. I hope I will see you tomorrow. All right, Nandakumar, some examples. I just gave you some examples, and we will be giving you more and more such examples across the 3 days. We have numerous examples of people who've been able to do this, right? And we will be sharing all of these examples in the boot camp, right? How to register for exam for independent director, not very tricky. Again, something that we will be talking about in the boot camp, right? This is something, so the independent director exam is something that is held across the year, throughout the year, and it is something which you can do very easily. It's something which it is in fact not too difficult to crack in the first place, right? A few hours of study every day for a couple of months can lead you to crack the exam. So remember that as well. And okay, so now Nandakumar is saying, I come from sales and software delivery background with 22 years of experience. There are multiple companies who can utilize your expertise, Nandakumar. Sales is something, software is something which, sales firstly is something that of course every company has to do, whether it's services or product. Then software, all the companies are in some or the other way developing. Seth, there is some background noise at your end. Yeah, so
That would
then
be better
we
now.
have, yeah, so then again, software is something that almost all the companies would be developing. When we talk about apps, when we talk about their own product, could be something which is tech oriented, which is a software oriented product, right? So they could be providing a service which again utilizes software. So again, your expertise is something that could be utilized by numerous companies. Okay, so that's that. Why is there a growing demand for independent directors right now? Because there are so many companies going for IPOs. There are so many companies which are coming forth. There are so many businesses being launched. And whether you're a listed company or an unlisted company, you have to appoint independent directors. There are specific cases in which you have to do that. We will be discussing that as well. A listed company definitely has to have an independent director. Even an unlisted company, in certain cases, which I will talk about tomorrow, have to have independent directors. And that is why there is a growing demand for independent directors, because there are businesses growing, coming up left, right, and center. Right, I just told you there are so many IPOs that happened in 2026. There are so many more IPOs which are going to be happening in the coming 2 years itself, right?
Yes,
So that's
women's
that.
will also be at an added advantage. Like if you're a woman, that would be additional advantage because, like most, like if there is a company up to a certain size, it becomes mandatory for them to appoint a woman to be in their board of directors as an independent
Yes.
director.
So there are, yeah, so there are, exactly. So women especially have this advantage, but there are, of course, this opportunity is open for everybody. But yes, companies have to have a specific portion of, the directors have to be women when we talk about independent directors, right? Companies of a specific scale, again, something that we will be talking about in further detail tomorrow. Right. Okay. So Anuradha is asking, do I need to declare that I'm working as an ID to my current company? Okay. So two things. Firstly, when you're working as an ID, mostly it will not be a problem with your current employer, because an ID position is something which is not considered to be moonlighting. When you're, let's say, freelancing somewhere, or when you're providing your services on part-time basis to some other business, that is something which is considered to be moonlighting, that you are basically working for a company, but then you're also making money out of some other services that you're providing. But when you talk about ID positions, it is something which is in fact not discouraged by employers. It is something which is encouraged by employers. Why? Because there is a certain sense of expertise that you will be able to bring to your current business as well, right? In fact, in a lot of cases we've seen that once an individual secures an ID position, their specific current employer, their existing employer, would also be looking to promote them, because there is a lot of expertise that they are now able to bring. Having said that, again, we will be delving much deeper into it in the boot camp. Having said that, of course, what your to come to your current coming back to your original question, it is of course advised that you declare it. It is advised that you let your employer know, not because of the fear of moonlighting, but just the because of the fact that you should disclose it. So that is something that you can do, but this is something which is not considered to be moonlighting. All right. If I'm outside India, can I still work as an ID? Yes, because mostly in most cases, the thing is that ID, the meetings that happen, basically, what is the work of an ID? There are specific meetings that they have to attend throughout the year, and they are basically paid for each meeting. There's a specific fee that they are paid for each meeting. Now these meetings are mostly, in most cases, happening remotely now, right? So if whether you're staying outside of India, whether let's say you're in a tier 2 or a tier 3 city, and let's say the business is in Bombay or in Delhi, you don't necessarily need to be in those cities in order to be appointed as an independent director now, because the meetings are happening remotely in most cases. So that's an added advantage that we have. How to get the offer of independent director? So there are a lot of things that you have to do. Firstly, you have to clear the exam, the IIC exam. Secondly, you have to build a personal brand for yourself. You have to basically create a visibility for yourself. Unless you create that visibility for yourself, nobody will know what you can bring to the table. Will know what your expertise really is, and thus nobody will be able to basically give you the specific ID related opportunities. So you have to create that brand for yourself that speaks for you, right? And that is again something that we will be talking about. What are the specific pillars that you have to focus on? How to really go about building an immaculate personal brand? How to go about it step by step, in fact. That is something that we will be talking about in the bootcamp across the 3 days. So I hope that I will see you. Denny, no, it was over Uvora. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but that's that. How to register, I've already talked about it. What is the success rate? We will talk about it in the bootcamp. Don't worry about it. Remember, forget about the success rate. There are two things that you have to do. If you are able to successfully do it, you will secure an ID position. Firstly, you have to clear the IIC exam. That is something, again, not very difficult to pass in the first place. The second thing is you have to work on your personal brand. Okay, if you're able to build a personal brand for yourself that speaks for itself, if you have a really great Google footprint, if somebody looks you up on LinkedIn, they come across the fact that you have so much expertise in specific areas, right? If you have basically, let's say, been invited to podcasts, to specific talks, to deliver lectures, you have to establish that you have a certain expertise in a given area. That is your goal when it comes to securing positions, Nandakumar. And if you're able to do that, then securing an ID position is something which won't be too far fetched. There are numerous people who've been able to do it. I will give you more examples. In fact, I'll be sharing, their case studies with you, which will tell you how exactly from scratch did they start, and then what led them to secure ID positions. What exactly is it that they did step by step? We will share that. Okay. All right. So Tej is saying, I am from Armed Forces, 15 years of experience, Judge Advocate General, conducting courts martial, policy interpretation and implementation, internal inquiries, litigation, etc. Like to prospects. Yes. So there are again a lot of people. I just gave the example of one person who was in the Air Force. They retired and then they secured ID position. There are more people who've been able to do that. Of course, people from the army background are kept in a certain high regard. That there's no doubt about that. There are certain expertise that they can bring to the table, right? They have served. They have seen a lot of things. They have a lot of understanding with respect to a lot of aspects that a business could utilize. So there are so many people who go on to become independent directors after retiring from the armed forces, right? Is this a full-time role? Will it conflict with my current job? Asks Runmai. So no, Firstly, this is not a full time role. You are not required to be working full time with the company that you're going to be securing an ID position with. Like I said, there are specific meetings which happen throughout the year. That's too, not a lot of meetings, right? And you have to just attend those meetings. You have to give your specific advice in those meetings. You have to basically take care of certain compliances that the company is undertaking. All of that is something that you have to do, but this is not going to require all of your bandwidth, all of your time. You can do it with your existing job, which is your second question. Will it conflict with my current job? You don't need to leave your existing job. Remember this. If anything, you might benefit in your current job, or you might find better opportunities than your current job by the virtue of the fact that you have secured ID positions. Okay, that's something that you can do. Our team has also shared the registration link, by the way. If there's anybody who has not registered for the boot camp, please do so. We will be sharing so much information across these 3 days. These are going to be, 3-day live sessions, 3 hours each. So you can imagine how much it is that we have to talk about, and I promise this will be very, very insightful. So to register, if there's anybody who hasn't done that, remember this is free. All right. Okay, so tech show. I'd appreciate if you could just change your name to your actual name. You're asking, what if a person is unemployed and still has experience of more than 10 years? Employment gap, can companies consider those person? Yes, because the company will not necessarily be concerned with your existing job, right? If you have certain experience that you bring to the table, and if you can let the companies know that this is what I'm about, if you can let the people know, if you have again built your personal brand around your expertise, that is what it is about. Nobody cares if you are unemployed as of right now. If you basically possess certain skills, if you're able to put them across, if you are able to again build that kind of brand for yourself that speaks for you, then people will not care, brands will not care, companies will not care basically that you are unemployed as of right now. There could be multiple reasons for that, right? So that is something which is not going to hold you back. Don't worry. It is again all about putting your best foot forward, putting yourself out in a way that it basically puts you in a good light, right? That is what personal branding is about. How much can an independent director earn? So when we say, I'll in fact show you this. Even the starting, when you're becoming an independent director for the first time, which in fact, do you know, most of the people who become an independent director, out of every independent director appointment across the year, more than 60% of the people who are appointed are fresh people who have not been appointed as independent directors before. Why? Because the need is massive, and the number of people who are qualified to be independent directors is very less. So, firstly, the thing is that they are first time independent directors, and as first time independent directors, they earn, as you know, the starting fee is close to 30 to 50,000 per meeting. 30 to 50,000 per meeting. So you could say around 20 lakhs you could earn as an additional income just when you're starting out. And this is not the ceiling. This is not the upper limit. The upper limit is 3 to 6 crores per year. That is what the independent directors are earning, who are experienced, who are maybe serving the boards of multiple companies at a time. This is what they are earning just when you're starting out. That is how much you can earn, up to 20 lakhs per annum, just when you're starting out. Remember this, right? So that's that. Are the government professors encouraged to be IDs? Why not? Teachers, I will show you how teachers can also, of course, there is a great demand for people who are, belong to, the education sector. Again, to be independent directors, there are so many businesses again who can utilize your specific expertise, right? There are so many students that you might know who might go on to start their own businesses. So there is also again a lot of demand for teachers, for government professionals, for professors to be independent directors. This is something which is for everybody. Just remember that. All right. Uh, self arbitrage course is I did not get what you're trying to. Acha, scale arbitrage. No. So just don't worry about any of that. Whatever information, remember, whatever information we are going to be sharing across these 3 days is going to be free. That's all you have to worry about for now. So just come, attend, sit with a pen and a paper in your hand, remove all the distractions, and just focus as to what we are going to be talking about. Nobody is asking for you to pay up any money for these, for attending the boot camp. That is what you have to remember for now. All right. So that's that. Any other questions that anybody else has before we um, close the session? And remember, whatever I have talked about right now, whatever you have, basically the questions you've talked about, asked right now, and whatever answers I've given, believe me, I will be going into, we Seth will also be there with me, we will be going into much greater detail across the 3 days with respect to all of this, right? So that's that. I'm a criminal lawyer practicing in district and subdivisional court. How can I help a company being an independent? Okay, so again, you have to go back and see, Sudipto, what exactly is it that you can bring to the table, right? What is the specific niche that you have as a lawyer? In fact, lawyers, CACS, they are in great demand as far as IDs are concerned. They are in fact in one, they have the highest of, the demand when it comes to securing ID positions. Lawyers, CAs, CS, they have a lot of demand. Lawyers, I mean, of course, you would, even if you're a criminal lawyer, there could be specific businesses who might need your help. And just being a criminal lawyer wouldn't mean that you would have the understanding of just criminal law, right? You're still a lawyer. You would still have, there's still a lot that you can bring to the table, right? So again, you have to carve out your niche in such a way that you can help businesses out, right? But remember, there is a seat for everyone. It doesn't matter which seat you want to get into. Is there a minimum educational qualification? You need to be 12th pass. That's what the educational qualification is really. And then it all comes down to building your personal brand. How do you put yourself out there? How do you basically let people know what your expertise is? That is what it is about, Firdaus. All right. Okay. So with this, I don't see any other questions. I would like to end the session. Remember, if you have any other questions, bring them to the bootcamp. We will basically ensure that all your questions are answered. None of it will go unanswered. In fact, the bootcamp itself, if you will attend, you will see most of your questions will automatically be answered. But still, if something remains, we will ensure that we answer your question. The boot camp, Arun, I don't know what is it that you are asking about. You're asking about the company. We are Skill Arbitrage is the company's name. We are conducting a 3-day boot camp. I hope that you have enrolled, right? So with that, let's end the session. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone. I hope all of you are excited to be attending the session across the 3 days. I am very excited to be sharing a lot of wonderful insights with all of you across the 3 days. I'll see you tomorrow sharp at 9 p.m., right? So that's that. Corporate experience is not mandatory. I just gave you the example of people. I am not able to read your name, Om. um, of people who did not possess any corporate experience. There was an army person who got an ID position. There was a person who had agricultural related experience, and they got ID positions. I will share a lot of different examples tomorrow, wherein we'll see that you don't really need to have corporate experience or any specific kind of experience for that matter. You can work on your specific niche, build your personal brand in respect to your specific niche, and you can secure ID positions. With that, uh, I will end the session. Thank you. Thanks for joining in. I'll see you tomorrow. Uh, Thank you. I'm excited to be talking with all of you. If there's anybody who has not registered, please make sure that you go ahead and register for the bootcamp. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Good night.